Hey, shout out to Footballer's Diary.
Shout out Footballer's Diary.
Greatest asset is
LAFC. I think you have a really bright future ahead of you. You have already played at the D1 level, international youth level, and so I think your trajectory kind of speaks for itself. But we do have Junior Nare on with us. Man, thank you for being here.
Hey man, thank you for having me.
If you could just start with a little bit of, where you came from, where you grew up playing, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of your backstory, that'd be awesome.
All right, so originally I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. I started playing for this little team like close to my house. It was called Balfour Alexandra Football Club. It's actually a really funny story because when I was younger, I used to hate football. I like what my mom always told me like I'll play. My dad would watch it, but then all my friends at school played for that one team. I felt kind of that, so I asked my dad to fall in love with the game. And then from Balfour, I moved to my first academy, which was at the time in Pumalanga Black Aces. Played there for a little bit. Managed to make like the youth national team, U17s, and that got like some people watching me. And then I moved to Wits, which was like an academy of one of the teams in like the South Africa's Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played there for a little bit, and then I had to America. I started in Philly for LaSalle University, then transferred to NC State last year, and yeah, now I'm at North Carolina.
Yeah, your LaSalle highlights definitely got me really excited about you as a player. We see a lot now that there's a lot of international players that come through the college, the D1 system, to transition to the MLS. Was that your focus, or was there some sort of education component that you were kind of like contemplating?
I mean, for me personally, I wanted the transition to be able to play at the MLS, but my parents are like school driven and all of that, so they were like, if you get a chance to do school, then I think you do it. Like if you get to play and do school at the same time, it was perfect for them. And they were like, yeah, they
So it kind of fit.
fully
It kind
support.
of fit your dreams and their,
Yeah,
goals for you, right?
literally at the same time. So it's kind of worked out.
That's funny. We've talked to a lot of African players, and it's pretty clear that African parents don't play about education.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Outside of your family being school first, like did they like soccer? Did you grow up around the sport?
Nah, my dad definitely is a huge soccer fan. I would say he's probably the one that got me into it because he'd watch games all the time. He's a big Chelsea fan, so I watched a lot of Chelsea growing up. And my mom, she would like watch the game, but she didn't really fully understand, so she would just like the whole family was there. So
That's funny, man. I follow a few South African teams on social media, so I'm a little familiar with like the South African League. But can you tell us a little bit about like the culture of soccer in South Africa and the South African League?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people say like the South African league has a lot of similarity to like the Brazilian league because like there's like a lot of flair, tricks, showing off, and all of that. And I feel like for me that helped me like as a player in terms of like creativity because like not to like downgrade any type of football, but there's like textbook football where it's like one, two touches and all of that. And then with us, it's kind of like you dance on the ball a little bit, if I could say. So yeah, that helped me big time with my creativity. And basically, there's like three big teams in South Africa: Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, and Orlando Pirates. And I think the goal for most, if not all, youngsters in South Africa is to play for one team. And I was lucky enough to train with the Kaizer Chiefs U23s before I came to America, actually. And I feel like if I didn't already have this American option, I would have tried to like pursue playing for that team. But like this kind of like changed my plans. But then yeah, the culture there is kind of like the Brazilian culture. Honestly, circling back, it helps a lot of players. Like I don't know what's the word to like explore what type of player
Be
they are
creative
and
and utilize their
like
creativity.
yeah
Yeah, no, absolutely, bro.
yeah.
No, that's super important. Continuing with that, was there did you notice those differences coming to D1, or what differences did you
I
notice?
think for me the biggest thing with the US is the first thing I noticed when I got here is the physicality. It's it's so much more from my perspective, so much more of like a physical game. And I feel like in South Africa it's more of a technical. Like sometimes at D1 I feel like whichever team can run the longest, run the quickest and win like 50 battles, which is part of the game, wins the game. But back in South Africa, it's whoever has like the cleaner touches, the more accurate passes type of stuff. So I feel like that was the
Exactly.
biggest thing for me from.
Right. Do you think that physical style of play, that athletic soccer, is detrimental to the game, or you think it's just a preference?
I think it doesn't really like ruin the game or anything because like teams like Burnley way back before they just got back in the Premier League, which is one of the toughest leagues in the world, played that type of football. The direct route one, big hold up strikers, and it worked for them for many years. But I guess it's not as pretty as like the Man Cities and Barcelonas and all of that, which is what people like to watch and play. But sometimes the game requires you to be a little bit physical and go direct and stuff like that if you're trying to win the game. So I wouldn't really say it's hurting the game. I'd say it's just a preference thing.
Changing
Yeah.
focuses a little bit. We have the conversation a lot. Is there a good soccer culture in the United States? Now that you've played here for a few years, or a couple years, if you were to explain to somebody who has no idea, what would you say the culture of soccer is,
Yeah.
and if it's good or not?
I think it's certainly like a growing culture here in America. Because also looking at like how the US does in the World Cup, they do get out the group, get to play the knockout stages, which are a hard thing to do if you play against some of the best teams in the world. So I feel like people are investing more into it. Slowly but surely, it'll be probably not as big as basketball and American football, but it'll be up there as like a sport that people enjoy.
I hope so, bro. Is there anything that surprised you about U.S. soccer playing in D1, or actually things that you think people may have a misconception about U.S. soccer?
I think the biggest misconception people have about like D1 and America is that because America's not really known for its football, so people think, oh, I'll just go to America because it's easier than, let's say, the Man United Academy and things like that. But I think what they don't realize is that somebody else from, let's say, Liverpool or an Arsenal academy is coming here as well and bringing their own quality. So if you mix all the international quality with the quality that was already here, it's really high level, competitive, and it's not as easy as people
No,
think.
man, that's a great point. You have players that are going from college to start or play major minutes in the MLS, and even players going to Europe, and so the game definitely is translating. Another thing I think is slept on is like the atmosphere and the fans. Is there been anywhere that has surprised you with how crazy it is to play there?
I think for me, as of like right now, the one that surprised me the most was Clemson because when we played them, they were not like in like a good space, and they were not because they just had won the championship, but the following year they were not like the same team. But then when we went there, it was like stadium was almost packed. Fans are shouting, screaming. It's just it was yeah, a tough place to play at.
Um, you play with a lot of creativity. Where does that come from? Who are some of your professional inspirations?
Yeah, I mean players like Neymar. I absolutely love Neymar. I love the way he plays. I think the freedom he plays with just to like express himself is what I try to do when I play as well. Because at the end of the day, we're just doing what we love, and if you don't have fun, why are you doing it? Yeah, players like Eden Hazard. I used to love him at Chelsea. I'm also a big Chelsea dad, so I loved watching Hazard week in, week out. Um, there's different other types of forwards like Leroy Sané. I really enjoy his game as well. Like he's not like a typical winger, he's more like direct. Obviously, the Mbappe's, and then funny enough, I also look at like a lot of midfielders as well to try and like bring in different little pieces from them into my game, like the Kevin De Bruyne's. I really like the way Bernardo Silva plays as well. Um, who else? Maybe like a Modric, Vini Jr. Those just few of the players I try to like watch and see what they do and try and get that into my game as well.
So in the States, like at a very early age, these games are super competitive. Like, U8, U9, U10 games, like parents are going nuts. There's a lot of people at the games. Kids are taking it super seriously. Like I said, parents are crazy. They're already training 3 or 4 times a week at that age, sometimes more. Do you have a similar, atmosphere, culture in South Africa at that youth level?
Yeah, like Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates is basically a derby there. We call it the Soweto Derby. So that's literally probably the biggest game in the country. Doesn't matter what level it's at, professional, U19, U23, U whatever. All the players and the kids take it just as serious as the pro players. And then there's also the Pretoria Derby, which is Super Sport United and Mamelodi Sundowns. It's also a big game, but I wouldn't say it's as big of a derby as Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates.
Right. You have to say that too, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned like South Africa, like the league being similar to Brazil. Do you have those same sort of like street soccer or street football components, futsal, in South Africa?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We all grew up playing in the streets. We used to call it. We put like a brick on the side of the road and then just ball out in there. And then yeah, we have a lot of futsal stuff. Actually, when I went back home this summer, I was playing a lot of futsal because I hadn't done it in a while, so that was pretty fun. So yeah.
You can see it in your game. Like you very much have that like when you get in those tight spaces, have those like street ball, futsal components to your game. And I think that's what makes you. I think everyone talks about your scoring ability, but you definitely are a playmaker. Um, which you're number 10. So I guess that they can see that also. But I think it's an underrated part of your game. Um, is that something you enjoy? Creating those plays.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, when I go into a game, like obviously it's nice to score, but if I'm creating chances, getting assists, like helping my teammates shine as well, and like put them in spots where they could execute their strengths, I'm more than happy to do that, and that I'm happy with that. If I can just get my teammates into the game and help the team win, it doesn't really matter if I'm scoring the goals or whatever. Literally,
As
I'm
long as they're
just
being scored.
yeah.
Tell me, tell us a little. So the U.S. has an interesting system. I actually think it's kind of cool in a way. The MLS draft is it is a proven thing. There's been a lot of players. There's more players in the MLS from college than there is homegrowns. What do you think about the MLS draft?
Um, to be honest, I don't fully understand it, but I feel like it's like it's a cool type of thing. Like it's different because before I came here, I'd never heard of like a draft type of thing. Normally, they just like if the player is good enough, they sign them from an academy or whatever. So I think the draft also, like, it gives people that maybe weren't able to like play in academies and stuff chances to get seen and signed at the higher level. So I think that's kind of cool.
There's a player from Orlando City, Aguirre, who never played MLS Next, MLS Academy, went D1, won the Herman Trophy, and now like he's just been absolutely lighting up the MLS in Orlando City, and I think that's right. Like I think that there's these players that go unseen here in the U.S. because we don't have relegation. There's these kind of like gaps, but I think college kind of does a good job with, finding some of those players. Do you feel like the U.S. does a good enough job with highlighting college players?
Um, I mean, yeah, for the most part, I think so because like I'm gonna use the NCAA Instagram page as an example because I see like all different types of schools on there, all different types of players that do well for this. Even some of the schools I've never even heard of, but I learn about them just off of like that page. I'm pretty sure if I like did more research and stuff, I'd figure out a whole lot more. But I feel like it's good at like promoting the like not the so popular schools that play D1.
Okay, so non-soccer stuff. What's been your like favorite part? You've been in Philly, you've been
Yeah.
in NC. What's like? What do you like, man?
I mean,
Food, culture.
I would say the music, being able to go to like concerts and shows because a lot of my favorite artists are obviously in America and they come to South Africa like once ever how many ever years. So
Who do you
being
like?
able, like, I went to Dreamville this year, which was probably the best day of my life because I'm a huge, so I really really enjoyed that. And later on this year, I'm gonna go to Rod Wave. I like his music too, so I think that's the biggest thing for me.
That's cool, man. And so I really would like to see like that part of so hip hop music in general. It has like a really integrated, like it's very integrated, like in college, like American football. It would be really
Yeah,
cool to start seeing some of those collaborations and seeing some of that attention because you do see like especially in the NBA, a lot of the NBA players who especially who came overseas love soccer. So
yeah.
I think there definitely is a there's going to be somebody who brings the two together. It might be you, bro. We don't know.
I hope so. I hope so.
Um, so I won't make you pick between Philly and North Carolina, but what was your time like in Philly? It's a really great soccer. It's one of the great soccer places in the U.S.
Yeah. It was. I think it was pretty cool because like um the I forget what it's called. I think Subaru Park, the Union Stadium, was really close to my old school, so we were able to go see a few games there, which was really cool. And it's always like nice to see the what stadiums are like in different countries. And I think Pulisic is from Pennsylvania, so
Hmm.
literally always talking about Pulisic and that he played against this guy and that guy, and a lot of my friends were saying they played for the same team as him and they saw a little bit of him before he left, so that was pretty cool.
Has there been like has there been anybody who's like really impressed you like that's from the U.S. played here that grew up playing here?
Uh, I think Pulisic would be one of them because he played for Chelsea, and again, big Chelsea fan.
Right.
Uh, I'd say who else have I seen? Tyler Adams, I think he's really good. Weston McKennie. Uh,
But like but do you feel like the players that are coming out of that U.S. system are at a really high level, like from like overseas, or do you feel like there's a difference?
I mean, there's. I think it's not. If there's a difference, it's not a very big difference because I feel like there's a lot of good players here. Whether they're American or international, it's just they very good. understand whatever tactics they're being asked to do. The execution is good, and they just make it as hard as possible for their guys.
That's a good question, right? So when I talked to some coaches from Spain, and we do like 9v9 here at like the youth level, and they were saying that it's too many players on the field to learn how to use the space. And so they said the biggest thing that they noticed with like the American system was that American players don't use like off the ball. Do you guys do 9v9 or 8v8 in Africa, in South Africa?
Yeah, we do. But do I remember? Yeah, I
It's a
think
long
so.
time, right?
Well, yeah, it's been a while, but I remember playing like 7v7 when I was like 12 or something, and then 9v9s, and then we went to 11s. Yeah, we do the smaller numbers at first.
So, what do you think has been like the best soccer state or city that you've been to so far?
Uh, let's see. I think I think Philly would be up there.
Yeah, it's up
Like, yeah, I think Philly would be up there because I stayed there obviously, so I managed to like learn more and see more about the soccer in that state.
that's a
And
good
then
that's a good one.
yeah. And then North Carolina too. I always hear people talking about like Charlotte FC and all of that, but I haven't been able to go see one of their games and see what it's like, what it's really like compared to the Union. So hopefully I could get that done soon.
They have a really exciting. Actually, he plays for the U.S., but his dad played for Tangier, I think. And his name's Nympha. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen him.
yeah. I've
So
heard
good.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really good. You guys are not similar players, but he's definitely also a creative, attacking player. Um, what are some of your goals, man? And, I know you want to go to the MLS. Is there like, do you have like a plan, like MLS, and then go from there, or like what are some of your goals for the future, even internationally?
I mean, right now, yeah, I think the biggest one would be trying to get drafted, and then if I could make it in the MLS, that would be great. But then if I could go overseas to like Europe and stuff, that would also be great. So I think for me, basically, it's just trying to make it professional at the highest level possible. That's one of my biggest goals right now.
So I know that the Dreamville was your best moment outside of soccer. What was your best moment in soccer?
My best moment, I think, I'd say making the youth national team because like there was so many players because we had a tryout the first time and there was like over 300 players there, so to get picked from that bunch, I felt like i was I was doing something right, and I was blessed to get the opportunity to be seen, and I managed to do well once I was in the national team, the youth national team. So I think in football that's my best moment so far.
Absolutely, bro. Is there anything like differences that you've like felt that you've added to your game from here that you think is like gonna help you at the next level?
I'd say um like playing with my back to goal, like almost hold up type of play, because back home I never really used to need to hold up. I'd like be able to like spin left or right or whatever, but obviously the older you get, the stronger, the faster the defenders are, so you kind of have to like work around that. So I feel like playing with my back to goal has been something I've been able to add to my game, and um I'll say using my left foot more. I think that's also another one, like making it hard for the defenders to know if I'm going to go inside or outside or left or right, whatever it may be.
That's a the not having relegation is like the relegation the lack of relegation here, and having like this like D1 like USL MLS type system is something that could be improved, or do you think it's just different and it's not necessarily something that needs to change?
I mean, I think like the relegation piece of it kind of like I think pushes people to do more because I feel like if there's no relegation, like some people get content with because they know there's nothing's gonna happen if they like lose a lot of games or whatever. So I feel like relegation would help like push people to do more and stuff like that. And also, I think it would help other people. Like if teams get relegated and other teams get promoted, it would help the teams from the lower divisions to be seen by the bigger clubs and be seen on the bigger stages.
That is a great answer, man. I agree with that. I also think it's like would help with these lower division teams with their fans, right? Because when you
Yeah.
think you can move up, you have more people come to the games. So I definitely agree there. What are you studying while you're at in school?
Initially, when I went to LaSalle, I was a business management major because they didn't have what I wanted to do, which is sports management. But then when I transferred here to North Carolina State, I changed to sports management. But then I have a business minor because I'd already taken a lot of business classes, so I didn't want them to go to waste.
That's awesome, man. And just a
My favorite player, it was Ronaldo. Funny enough, because I think almost every kid looks up or looked up to Ronaldo at some point. So it was very entertaining to watch. And then I think when I got a bit older and started understanding football more, I started to appreciate and like Messi and what he does, because I think also the Premier League. Everybody watches the Premier League. Ronaldo played in the Premier League, so watching him play against Chelsea was also kind of like what made me like him more. And then I think once he moved to La Liga, it like exposed us to like more of that Messi week in week out, and I was able to see that yeah, he's actually the truth.
So what kind of calls did you get from back home when Messi came to the U.S.?
I mean, everybody was asking me like, "Are you gonna go to his games?" I was like, "Yeah, if you guys saw the ticket prices,
You wouldn't go to.
yeah." But
No, I
yeah,
live. We live here in Miami, and we can't go. It's too expensive.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And yeah, people literally were calling me like I was gonna see him in the street, and I was like, "Oh, you should ask him for a picture." And I was like, "He's in Miami. It's so far from me."
People don't realize how big the U.S. is, right? It's
Yeah,
like a massive place to play soccer.
yeah, that's yeah. People actually, it's actually so, even to me till this day, it's still like crazy to me. Like from here to California or something is like a 6 hour flight, which is literally the same as going to like Europe,
It's crazy.
but you're still in the same country. It's so crazy to me.
If you were to say there was like one thing that was the difference to get you where you're at today, what do you think that would have been?
I think it was definitely the support from my family, but also like I think my inner drive to like make my family proud and like make something out of this, because I feel like I've been doing it for so long, and to do it for so long and get nothing out of it would be a big disappointment to me. So I feel like that's just what drives me, and definitely the support from my family, because like look, they allowed me to leave, stay by myself halfway across the world to chase a dream. So
That's pretty
definitely,
awesome, right? And that's kind of what's cool about college soccer is that no matter what happens from here, man, you played for your national team, you were the number 10 at your college, you played D1, so you've already put together a really impressive career, and you're a super exciting player to watch. Um, if there was something you could tell aspiring players who are looking to play D1 or beyond that, what is some advice you could give them?
I think the what I've learned playing D1 is that don't rush, because when I first came to America, I had like I was gonna play one season and try to get drafted and all of that, but then like you learn how things work and you see that if this doesn't go this way, then at least if you finish school, you have a backup plan, and the more you play, the more connections you make, and the more
That's
that would
true.
help in the future. So I think the biggest thing for me is patience.
It's a great point you just made. It's actually a question that we've discussed and talked to. Is there a lot of opportunity? Obviously, there's MLS opportunity, but do you talk to people and do you meet people in D1 soccer that have the ability to provide opportunities in soccer, like maybe even overseas? Like, is that something people just talk about, or is that real?
I think it's definitely real because like I'm gonna use summer league as an example. USL two, you go out and play for different coaches. You play against different teams, and you meet like coaches that have connections or have worked here, or have worked there, and all that type of stuff. So it's definitely true. Like the more you play, the more people you meet, the more connections you'll have.
What do you think about the USL2 system? To me, I think actually college and the USL2 it goes very well together, and it helps like create this really unique path where like you're saying, it provides an opportunity and keeps your game high. Um, do you feel like it would be better to have like some sort of like continuation of your college team, or do you like that the USL2 system?
I kind of like the USL two system because again, I think one of the biggest things for me that I like look out for is exposure, and I feel like USL two like helps. Let's say people from D1, D2, D3 schools that are good enough to be playing D1, but maybe get a lack of opportunity. They can like show themselves in the USL two system and hopefully get opportunities from there. So I feel like it's a big exposure piece, and like outside of that, like football helps you meet a lot of people that could help you like in life in general, not just in your career or whatever. So I feel like the USL two has helped me make plenty of friends now in America too. So it's it helps a lot. Yeah.
No, that's a great answer actually. Um, One thing, and this is just your opinion. It's something that we discuss all of the time. There's a lot of kids who grow up in the U.S. and in the MLS system, they have like not every team, but a lot of teams have like this profile. A striker has to look like this. A center back has to look like this. A winger has to look like this. What do you say to like maybe a kid who's late puberty, who's
Yeah.
undersized for these profiles for these positions? Do you think that's part of soccer, or do you think that like once you develop, like those things really don't matter in soccer?
I think not that it doesn't matter. Like it's always good to have a little bit of physicality, but it shouldn't be like the foundation of your whole career because if you look at some of the best players we've had in world football, they were not the biggest, strongest, or fastest like the Iniestas, Xavi. Look at Messi. I'll use like Mahrez and Neymar, not the strongest people, but if you like get good at your craft and just find ways to work around the physicality, I think you'll be perfectly fine.
No, that's true. Do you find that that profile system continues from the youth ranks in the U.S. and is still in D1, or do you feel like that kind of like is not as much as part of like this the what coaches and programs are looking for?
I mean, I think if a player is good enough, the player is good enough.
You're good
What
enough, right?
like you can always work on strength. You can always put somebody in the gym and help them build this and build that, but like can't give out talent and gifts and technique and stuff like that. So if the kid is gifted with other things outside of strength, I feel like you can always just work on strength and just build to what they already have.
All right. And so, last couple questions. I'll let you go, man. I think this has been awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say are some like the different styles that you've seen in D1 from these players from all these different countries?
I think the most obvious one is all the Spanish players. They just pass the ball till death do us part, literally. They just straight passes of the ball. And I guess another typical one is Brazilians. They play with the same confidence and flair as you see like the top Brazilians play with in professional football. And I think another typical would be the English. The English are very like hard and physical, and I'd say yeah, those are the most obvious ones that I see, like Spanish and passing, the Brazilians with their tricks and all of that, and then the English with being physical.
When you get to D1, how do you make those things mix? Like, is it up to the coach, or do you guys have to kind of like is like a system? How does that like? Should you as a player look at that before you look into that school? How do you make all that work? I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, it's. I think it's just a matter of getting to know your teammates and what they're good at and what their strengths are, and trying to like get each other to perform at the highest level possible. Like, let's say a Spanish midfielder. If I know he likes like small 5 to 10 yard passes, I'm not gonna be making runs in behind because I know what his strengths are. And yeah, like if I had, let's say, a Brazilian winger or something, I know he likes 1v1s and skill, so I'm not gonna support him like really close because I'm gonna bring defenders to him. So I'm gonna allow him to have that space and hopefully go like let's say in the box or something. He'll
That's a
probably find.
brilliant answer, man. You know, Thierry Henry gave like almost the same exact answer. Well, it wasn't that question, but he was talking about like Haaland and you know his supporting cast, and he
Yeah.
gave the same answer, bro. It's really like a very insightful way to look at the game. Um, I guess this would be the you know what people say is the most important thing to have as a attacker is you know is to be, you know, smart, but it goes back to you being a great student, a great athlete. What are some of your goals for the rest of the season? And give us a little bit of what we should expect to see from you for the rest of the year.
My goal is definitely to make the tournament and go as far as possible in the NCAA. And for me, I think I just want to help my team win and do that to the best of my ability, whether it comes in goals, assists, or just like creating chances for my team. I don't really care. Like I said before, it's just as long as the team is winning, I'm happy. And what to expect from me, I think more of the same. Like I try to play in a way that people will enjoy watching. So you'll definitely have a lot of moments to enjoy.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for getting on with us. Good luck for the rest of the season. We can't wait to see what's next for you, bro.
All right, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man. We'll follow up with you. And as we said, good luck, bro.
All right, for sure. Bye.